watching movies and jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.
Welcome back to K-Flix Fiction Radio. This week we have our second movie from John Carney, but it's his third film about a fictional band, which leaves us with Once Last.
Yes, we're going in, not in reverse order. We're just going in a wacky order. We went middle, last, first.
Uh-huh.
What'd you think of this movie, Shawn? Because we talked about Begin Again on the pod, and it was like our second episode.
Third,
and I feel like I gently made it known that I wasn't the biggest fan of that story.
That is true. I remember that. Yeah. You did not enjoy that movie, and I enjoyed it more than you did.
Yes.
That being said, I had a great time watching this movie as well. I was excited going into it because I had already listened to the song Drive It Like You Stole It, and I thought that it was a tremendous song. So I was already jazzed up going into the movie, and I had a grand time.
Yeah, dude, I thought it was great. I feel like John Carney's wheelhouse is back in Dublin, making, independent films in his homeland. I don't want to sit and ruminate on Begin Again, but man, I really, really, really liked this movie.
I love to hear that because after I finished it, I texted you, and I was unsure if you were going to like it based on knowing your history from Begin Again and also from Once. Even though we haven't talked about it on the podcast, I know that you weren't the most gigantic fan of the movie.
I hated Once when I first saw it, but I was like 20.
Okay.
And I have not seen it since.
I've not seen it at all.
Okay, well, get excited because it's coming up at some point.
That's
true, not a
yes.
teaser. It's not on the schedule, but it's just like, well, we'll have to.
Right. We've already done 2 of the 3. We have to finish out the trilogy.
Truly, I'm excited to watch Once again. I think I'll appreciate it in a different light now that I'm twice as old as I was the last time I saw it.
That's a fair. I mean, a perspective does change quite a bit.
Sure.
But this movie was a lot of fun. I enjoyed a lot of aspects. I really enjoyed the creative process that these boys went through in making and writing these songs and shooting music videos for them and the obstacles in which they faced, the asshole priest at their school and things like that.
I thought it was a really cute story. I could tell right away. I mean, it just felt more autobiographical.
Oh, sure.
It felt more out of John Carney's life. Maybe that's just because I know he's an Irish director and this is in Dublin. Maybe it's because I know or I read that Sing Street, the name of the school in the movie, is a real school named Sing Street.
Oh.
That John Carney attended.
Okay.
It's also the place where they filmed this.
No shit.
Yeah, it's real. And there's even in the credits of the movie, there's a disclaimer thing that's like, hey, this was the 80s. A lot of things were shite back then. Sing Street's a good school now.
All right. They've turned it around. That's good to hear.
But I mean, even without knowing those facts, I just felt you can feel when a filmmaker's putting real experience into the thing.
So this was not something that I looked into before recording. I just looked it up right now, but John does have a brother, so I was instantly curious about that when you said it felt super autobiographical.
I don't know anything about details. I don't know, I think there are probably elements of his life, elements of other people's lives in there.
Of course. Back to the brother just real quick. I loved that character. I thought he was great.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
And I had seen that actor, Jack Rayner, in a couple of other things. I had seen him in Midsommar and Transformers Age of Extinction.
Oh, I've seen Midsommar. I don't remember it well enough to say I could identify an actor, but
I believe he was Florence Pugh's boyfriend, the asshole.
Oh, okay. Good for him. He was great in this.
He was.
I love that character. I was rooting for that character. I love his ups and downs. Him being king of the high school in his memory.
Uh-huh.
And then coming to realization of I am just kind of a burnout.
Yep.
And then being the sort of the one who gets to save the day at the end. Not really save the day, but he is the one who's able to get his little bro, the main character, out of town.
It was a really great ending for both the brother character and for Connor and Rafina.
It was. I read somewhere, and I could not find anything verifying this, but that was not the original ending. Basically, that was a happier ending that was changed at some point. Did you come across anything like that?
That is not something that I came across, no.
Gotcha. I came across that much, but I don't know who said it kind of thing. And I'm like, I wonder what it would have been. Like, were they going to shipwreck? Were they going to die in the ocean? That would have been dark.
I don't know what a possible alternative ending would have been. I would be pretty bummed if it would have been a tragic ending like that.
I would have been bummed, but I don't know. I always like a movie more when it's a sad ending.
But that ending would have come out of left field. Like if they would have died on the boat or whatever, like trying to sail away to reach their dreams, and then,
Yeah, I think other things would have needed to have been tweaked and darkened leading up to that.
The movie was too happy for that.
It's a very happy movie. And, that's often my gripe with things, is when they get too much shine like that.
Well, that's why I wasn't sure if you were going to dig this one.
They kept it low key enough, and it like, honestly, setting it in Ireland, having it not in the US is super helpful for me to see something in a different light, I guess.
Okay.
If I don't see it as a Hollywood movie, I don't hold it to the same standards as Hollywood stuff.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I let a lot of things go because so much was so good, because all the period stuff was really great, all the like lingo, all the like historical events that were going on, and the characters were very real. I loved the parents as much as we see them, who are in the process of getting divorced.
Yeah, real sad story with the parents.
Yeah, but like that dinner table scene was almost like hilarious,
Oh, sure.
where he's just like, your mother's fallen in love with I forget the guy's name.
I do too, yeah.
So she'll be moving in with him.
Yeah, it was a very real movie.
Now, the other thing is, this movie has a stage adaptation,
It does.
much like its predecessor once had a stage adaptation.
I didn't know about either of them until preparing for this show.
I didn't either. I caught a little bit of an interview with John Carney where he it seems like maybe the stage adaptation was a thing that sort of happened with Once.
Okay.
And with Sing Street, it was more in his mind.
Oh, because of having to adapt it for once.
Well, more like the way he described it was he just wanted to start making his movies be more musicals, to be more musically driven.
Okay.
And you can definitely hear that in the songs in this. Like, that was the thing that threw me off. Like, we'll get into this when we get into the songs, but almost every song in here is like sort of, they give you a cue point from real pop music at the time
Yes.
that each song is supposed to have like been inspired by.
Uh-huh.
And at first I was like, I get it, but they don't sound quite like, I was like, oh, you could have gone harder into sounding like The Cure or whatever. It was only when I realized like, oh, these were like kind of, I think, designed to be translated to a stage musical, that I was like, this all makes sense. It's all songs that move the narrative forward.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Like, you're sacrificing some stylistic stuff and some vocal stuff sounding like each of those bands, and instead veering towards like clarity and making sure the audience actually hears what the characters are saying in the song.
Yeah, that's not a thing that I ever considered when I was listening to this music, or even after being presented with the information of it being turned into a stage musical after the fact.
Interesting. Okay. Just to my ears, there's an element of that like Glee thing that I think I've talked about a few times on the show.
You have, and typically I can hear it and agree with you, but these just sounded like songs.
Okay.
And Glee, I mean, they're doing covers of actual songs, so like that one's a little bit weird already in my brain, because they're taking something that I already like and making it worse most of the time.
I guess, okay, here's what it is. Here, I'll try to say it in a better way now. I think usually with like rock music versus pop music, let's say, like, even though it's a weird fake divide, whatever. With rock music, it's often more about the emotion, about the feeling, about the instrumentation. Whereas I feel like these vocal performances, there's an importance put on the vocals that I wouldn't expect outside of them being written to be performed by an actual singer on a stage.
Fair point.
So Sing Street features kind of a collective of songwriters throughout.
Yes, it does.
Namely, John Carney himself. His backstory is he was the bass player in the band The Frames, which is Glenn Hansard's band, the band that Glenn Hansard sings and writes for. John was in the band only from 1990 through 1993.
Oh, short term.
The Frames have been around and continue to be around to this day. But I wanted to play a quick clip from one of their songs from 92, just so we could probably, I think, hear a little bit of John Carney's bass playing.
Great.
This song is called Before You Go.
And baby, there's one thing you should know before you go.
Kind of sounds like a typical, early 90s thing. And then it takes this kind of left turn here.
I can't stop loving you. I can't stop loving you.
It's like almost like, were these guys like hanging out with Radiohead back in the day or something? There's like a caterwauling vocal there that just makes me think of Radiohead and the like.
I can hear that for sure.
Anyway, that's John Carney. Next up, featured on, I believe, every song by Sing Street, is a guy named Gary Clark. Did you come across Gary Clark?
I did. He also composed this soundtrack.
He did. Yeah, the score for the film. And he has been in a bunch of bands that I'm not too familiar with. I'm lying. I'm not familiar with them at all. I wish I knew more about Irish rock in the 80s and 90s outside of U2, but I really don't.
Yeah, I was not familiar with the bands that he was involved with, but I do have a song from Danny Wilson called Mary's Prayer.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
I made such a big mistake when I was Mary's prayer. So if I say, save me, be the light in my eyes. If I say, ten Hail Marys, leave a light on in heaven for me.
I selected this song of all of the Danny Wilson songs that I was listening to because it sounded the most like a Sing Street kind of song.
Oh, interesting. It's also their biggest hit. It went to number 3 on the UK charts.
Oh, okay.
If they were a one-hit wonder, that was their hit.
It's a good song.
That was Danny Wilson, and then he was also in a band King L and in another one called Transistor, and it just sounds like he's a man about music.
Love it.
John Carney loves people who love to make music, so it's no wonder they found each other.
We do have a pair of brothers that are co-writers for a lot of the Sing Street songs, Ken and Carl Poppenfuss.
Yeah.
And they are members of a band called Relish. I have a song of theirs called Rainbow Zephyr to play.
Rainbow Zephyr, let your beauty come alive. Let your color fill the sky. Rainbow Zephyr.
Ken and Carl, I believe I read, functioned as the guitar player and drummer of Sing Street.
Yes.
And that song, Rainbow Zephyr, was another, it was definitely a hit in the British Isles.
I think so.
I don't think it ever really made tracks over here.
Unfortunately not. It's a very fun song.
It's a great song. It's got that Lean On Me
Yeah.
piano thing to start it off, which is always a strong thing to put in a song. It's so strong, in fact, that this song was remade basically the same but with different lyrics
Oh, yeah?
by the band Westlife, and they retitled it Hey Whatever.
I say, hey, whatever.
Yeah, they just made Hey have more syllables.
Yep, they did. They just stretched it out. Now, Westlife, I'm not super familiar with Westlife, but I think they were really big across the way. They were an Irish boy band,
Oh.
kind of early mid-aughts. They were on Simon Cowell's label, Psycho Records.
Or are they a product of X Factor?
I don't know. I don't think they were a product of X Factor. I bring this up only because Psycho Records is where a young man named Savin Kotecha found himself in the position of A&R director at some point in time.
Savin comes from Simon.
Apparently, he comes from Simon. Yeah, he was an A&R guy at Psycho Records, and then he also has writing credits on just a ton of Westlife songs, much like on One Direction songs.
Wow.
So before we get into all the songs performed by the band Sing Street that we see form and come to fruition in the movie, there is one original song on this soundtrack that is not performed by the young lads. And that is a track called Go Now.
Yes.
But it is performed by somebody we're very familiar with on K-Flix Fiction Radio.
It's our mascot.
It's our mascot, Adam Levine.
Yes.
And it was co-written by Glenn Hansard from The Frames and from Once and from Begin Again and from every other movie this guy John Carney has done.
Yeah. Even the Hunger Games.
Even the Hunger Games. Wait, John Carney wasn't involved in Hunger Games, was he?
No, but Glenn Hansard wrote an Adam Levine song for that.
Oh, yeah. I love that we're tracking how these like people from across the world like became buds.
Made up your mind, no going back now.
This comes on at like the end of the movie, and it honestly like kind of took me out for a second. It like smacked me in the face with Adam Levine voice. Like we just watched this whole thing of like this kid becoming a singer-songwriter, and like everything was so in his own voice. And then it ends with this song, and you're like, oh, that's the Maroon 5 guy. It didn't bother me, ultimately. Just for that split second, I was like, hey, I know that guy.
That's what's his name from Begin Again.
That's what everybody knows Adam Levine for, right?
I think so.
Most famous for the movie Begin Again.
And then The Voice. So, Dustin, now that we're going to get into the music of the band Sing Street, Ferdia Walsh-Peelo, who plays Connor, the lead singer of Sing Street, did all of his own singing on these songs we're about to play and listen to.
Yeah.
And I was a little surprised by that because they look like a kid, but they sound like an adult. Did you struggle with that in any way?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like Connor has like a very adult voice.
Like the first couple of songs in the movie, I thought that I was getting Michael J. Fox'd, you know?
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know why. It didn't hit me that way. I was just like, oh, this person has an interesting voice.
I mean, he sounds great. I was just a little surprised to learn that that was him.
Yeah. In fact, from what I read, everybody in this, or at least everybody in the Sing Street band, was cast sort of musical abilities first, acting chops second.
Oh, really?
Not that anybody's like a bad actor or anything, but like that was very at the forefront when they were putting the band together because, you know, the only sort of somewhat known actors were the two of the side characters, two of the family members.
Right.
So musical ability was very important when they were putting the group together.
They got pretty lucky, all things considered, because they're pretty good actors, too.
Yeah, lo and behold, everybody did great on screen as well. Yeah, namely Ferdia Walsh-Peelo, who plays Connor, the main character, and Mark McKenna, who plays Eamon. He's like the other creative in the band, right? Like everybody else sort of plays music, but like Eamon's the one, he always goes to his house and says, hey, help me write another tune.
Yes.
And they make a good pair. Connor's the face and the voice, and Eamon's the, silent wizard type.
Yeah, for sure.
And then rounding out the cast, she doesn't sing, but I feel like we should mention Lucy Boynton plays Rafina, the young model. She's introduced as a model. She's a high school age girl who lives in like a group home across the street from the Sing Street school.
Yes.
That Connor becomes quickly infatuated with.
Yeah, she's like hanging outside in the mornings watching all of the kids go to school, and he notices her sitting on the stoop.
And pretty quickly, he writes a song for her. And what I love about this movie is it does cringe in like a palatable way.
Totally.
It's not Ricky Gervais cringe, where you're just like, oh, God.
Yeah, it's not uncomfortable tension cringe. It's like cute 80s kids cringe.
Yeah, it's like he wrote this song for her, and he's like not embarrassed enough to play it for her right away.
So Rafina is the inspiration for the band of Sing Street being started and all of that stuff. I think that it's cool that she is honestly the inspiration for everything more than the songs that help influence the music that Connor and Eamon write together.
That's true. You're totally right.
Like, she's always the driving force behind all of that stuff. Like, we got to make more videos because she looks great on film, like that kind of thing.
She looks great. / like he just wants to hang out with her more, and that's an excuse to hang out.
Of course.
Because, yeah, he convinces this up-and-coming model to be in a music video for his rock band. And it's like, it's just funny. It's a great interaction because she is not a model and he is not in a rock band at that moment. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, they both achieve their own goals because of each other.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, without further ado, let's give the people a little of the song Riddle of the Model.
Came from
indecipherable. She holds the key to the missing code. Just the thought of her touch, my mind explodes.
I'm really glad you chose this section to play.
Time never will unfold. The riddle of the model.
Okay, in the movie, you and I talked about this before we did this episode. A lot of times what we do on this show is go, oh, this song sounds a bit like this other song from real life, don't you think? Well, they just did all that work for us because every song in this comes with a like needle drop track that's played right before it that gives you sort of the inspiration.
It does. And that I found annoying. I listened to the songs several days before I watched the movie. So I was doing legwork of being like, oh, well, this sounds exactly like the Cure song. And then I watched the movie and it's like, hey, motherfucker, that's because it is inspired by this Cure song.
Yeah. Well, Riddle of the Model, I believe the analog in the movie is the Duran Duran song, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, it's like the first one. It's the first one that he writes for the band Sing Street, and it all starts with like he sees a Duran Duran video. His cool older brother gives him some info on Duran Duran, on the guitarist and all that, and he digs in and writes the song. That's like you said. It's every song is both an homage to a real life song and very much written by his status with this girl that he likes at that moment, driving it forward. You're totally on point with that. But I think also that this song does a thing that is like, I don't know what it is. It's like a British Isles trope. It's like their stomp clap thing. Like how we have like the Black Keys and like a million bands that sound like the Black Keys.
Okay.
There's a particular sound, and I only ever hear it in like British and Irish music, but I instantly thought of Franz Ferdinand
Okay, sure.
when I heard that section of the music, because it's just this like marching beat
Okay, yeah.
that we don't exactly do. You know what I'm talking about? But like there's 1,000 Britpop or Brit rock acts that have this thing going on.
Yeah, totally. Now, I don't hear a lot of Duran Duran in The Riddle of the Model. To me, it sounds like Devo and Oingo Boingo had a baby together.
Oh. Okay.
I was reminded of Devo's Girl You Want. Specifically because after this chorus finishes, it has like this wild musical breakdown that Riddle of the Model has.
Yeah, okay.
Just a girl. She's just a girl.
I think I know what you're getting at.
And then I was looking for some Oingo songs that, because I think the vocals that are going on in Riddle of the Model are Danny Elfman-like because of like the weird sort of cadence that he sings with at times sort of struck me Danny Elfman-like.
Yeah, okay.
Kind of like Oingo Boingo's Private Life.
This is my private place. Everything is neat and clean.
You know what's funny is this song, the Oingo Boingo song,
Yeah.
made me think of Duran Duran. So it's all a big circle.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, they definitely coexisted, all those groups. But yeah, I think you're bang on with those.
And then if I can just go on just a tiny, quick tangent that has nothing to do with Sing Street here.
Please do.
I was looking for an Oingo Boingo song that fit what I was trying to do today, right? Mm-hmm. And I've heard the song Weird Science hundreds of times. Mm-hmm. Today's the first time that this struck a nerve in my brain, and I just have to bring it to the audience of K-Flix Fiction Radio. So I'm going to play a little snippet of Weird Science.
Okay.
Listen to the horns, okay? Specifically the horns that play. Okay, now let's go to the score for the first Ninja Turtles movie from 1990. for the main Ninja Turtles theme song by John Dupre. Okay. Now listen to the synth.
Okay.
It's not like completely the same, but holy shit, man, that was so fucking close.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I wonder if it's just because everybody was using that type of synth.
Yeah, maybe.
Because again, like your thing made me think of another thing, and I'm gonna look for a clip now to see if confirm it or not. If I'm just making this up in my head, but
Did you just fire up Susu Studio?
I did fire up Susudio. Yes. Only because I happened to bring it up. Speaking of Susudio and the writer of Susudio, Phil Collins, I get why they made Rafina's boyfriend, the like jerk,
Oh,
be like into
a Phil
Genesis.
Collins fan. Yeah.
You know, it was played for laughs. Like, I get why, but I don't agree with it. I think Phil Collins can be so dope.
I have a Genesis album on vinyl. I like some Genesis songs. They have really good stuff.
I like Genesis. I like Phil Collins solo. I'm a fan. I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't listen to the Tarzan soundtrack usually.
No?
Okay, we've gone pretty far afield. I'm sorry, I hijacked your Ninja Turtles thing and took it too far.
Oh, hey, that's okay, bud.
But that was good. I did not expect the Ninja Turtles movie to be the thing that you were going to say there. I'm very happy it was. Side note, the Ninja Turtles movie was one of the more traumatic experiences in my life. I was, as a little kid, such a big fan of the Ninja Turtles cartoon. And when I saw the movie, it was all like dark and gory, and I hated it. I was like, I do not want to see this version of the thing I love ever again. I hate it.
Have you watched it as an adult?
I don't think I've ever seen it since.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it would frighten me anymore.
Getting back on the Sing Street path, let's fire up the next song. I would like to go with Up.
Such a beautiful feeling going up. She lights me up. She breaks me up. She lets me up to the stars. She shows me Dame Street, Georgia Street, miles below me.
So this song, specifically in the chorus. Now, I couldn't find a clip to match this, so I hope that this makes sense to you and everybody else that's listening to this. But the chorus sounds to me like a more modern Bon Jovi chorus, like a 2000s on Bon Jovi chorus. It's got that whimsical piano sound, and the vocals go up to that like high raspy sort of nature, but it's also got the back end harmonization coming in.
Oh, okay.
And it just really struck me as like a more modern Bon Jovi sound.
Huh. I like that read on it.
Okay.
That didn't occur to me. It was living in more like New Radicals territory
Oh,
in my head, and it almost didn't fit. Like, I couldn't figure out how to fit it into the 80s.
right.
I was like, this one doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like a kind of a more New Radicals, more even like John Mayer-y, like just more newer, for lack of a better words, thing.
I totally agree with you, because I'm also like, it doesn't sound like Bon Jovi of the 80s. It sounds like Bon Jovi when they came back, like for their big, like, no, we've been gone for a couple of years. It's the new millennium. It's my life.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
fucking like Bon Jovi's back. That sort of era of Bon Jovi.
VH1 Bon Jovi.
Yes, VH1 Jovi. Exactly. But yeah, this song sounds more modern than the other songs that Sing Street does.
It's interesting. There were a couple moments in this where I was pulled out of the periodness of it a little bit, and I was like, it sounds a little modern, and that's when I started to go like, but it does sound more like a musical. Like, I get why.
Okay, so now with this song, I understand a little bit more what you were saying at the beginning of the
Okay.
episode.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because this song does read more stagey than radio station.
The other one that made me really think like, oh, this was meant to be a musical is To Find You. Just listen to this vocal bit.
Or in the backseat, watching the slow rain fall, and I was on my way to find you. Gotta find out who I met.
That
Oh, totally.
I don't believe.
I feel like it's easier to spot in ballads than it is in up-tempo songs.
Sure. But again, like, this is one where I'm like, I have a hard time saying like, oh, this sounds like, Simple Minds or something like contemporary to them. But I can get there, like, it doesn't ultimately feel too out of place.
Oh, no.
It's just like definitely like let me know like, oh, there are more plans for this beyond the movie.
Not that that's a bad thing.
Not at all. I think it's cool that he's found a way to hopefully establish like a movie to musical pipeline. That would be great.
Get all the success that you can out of this stuff.
And like, dude, musicals, I think it's getting better, but there was a drought of like new ideas in musical theater for a long time. More power to the John Carneys of the world.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, there was a song that sort of played a trick on me because I didn't know the movie was going to spell out the inspirations so clearly for the audience. But A Beautiful Sea is based on In Between Days by The Cure, and you're going to hear that pretty clearly when I play this clip.
Under the waves, I feel up, pull my body down. Under the waves, she takes me.
It's like 10% the Smiths.
I can also hear the Smiths in there too. It's just like not as depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happier, like The Cure.
Yeah. It's happy sad.
Yeah. I would argue that the Smiths were happy sad, but I get what you're saying. They kept it at a level below excitement.
And then say you don't hear the Cure influence in the chorus that I just played. It's fine. Let me just play a quick sample of the beginning of the song where it's the strongest. So, I mean, especially once
It's
it
like
does
that thing
the
where
drum beat into the full on. Yeah.
It's that thing where you go like, okay, what are the chords? Like reverse them
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And just to point it out, here's In Between Days. Very clear inspiration.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So really quickly, there's a song on the soundtrack called Girls.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to talk about like what inspired it or anything like that. I just want to know, do you think that Ferdia's voice sounds like Weird Al in this clip?
Peace is a danger and the
Oh, yeah, totally. Yes.
always comes under attack.
Like when he's the nasal yell sing thing.
Yeah, definitely. Less so in the chorus, but
Yeah.
definitely in the verses. Yes.
I had that thought while I was watching it. I was like, I can't be like,
Yeah, that's really good.
doesn't that sound like Weird Al? Doesn't it sound just like Weird Al?
It fucking did, yeah. So the final song that we're going to talk about from Sing Street is going to be Drive It Like You Stole It, the song that turned me on to picking this movie, which we both ended up picking
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
in our selections for this round. Pretty fantastic how that worked out. I absolutely love this song. If you haven't heard it before, I think you're going to be a big fan of it, and it might convince you to watch the movie just like it did for me.
When I was stalling, I heard an angel calling. This is your life, you can't go anywhere. You gotta grab the wheel and own it. Drive it like you stole it. Roll it, this is your life.
It's got a nice driving beat that in the movie is totally ripped from Hall & Oates. Like it's
Yes,
totally
it
Maneater.
is. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like equal parts Maneater and like One Direction. Again, it like feels a little more modern than its setting to me.
It definitely feels more modern. But that scene where they are just playing Maneater and then sort of warping it was like, oh shit, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love that stuff. I mean, I have come to appreciate like that's a thing that John Carney likes to do in these movies. Like he did it visually in Begin Again, where we had that scene where Ruffalo was like imagining
Yes.
different instruments being played and stuff, and like now it's an audio imagining, going from a song they're listening to a song they've created out of that.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, even when they're shooting the music video for it, it's very much like the Mark Ruffalo scene, because in Connor's head, he's envisioning a movie, like a music video with a huge budget, but in reality,
right.
It's just like 6 or 8 students from his class,
Kids
like
with a
sort
Super
of
8 camera, yeah.
badly dancing like people from the 50s.
Yeah, it's very endearing though.
Oh, very endearing, yes.
Yeah, I really like that fantasy take.
And as we mentioned at the top of the episode, there was a Broadway version of this. I would like to play their take on Drive It Like You Stole It.
I heard an angel
Like, it is musically Maneater, and then the vocals are something else.
Yes.
They're what gives it away as, like, not from the actual 80s.
But it is definitely the driving bass line of Maneater for sure.
It's funny, it totally fits. Like, this movie was, 26?
16.
Like, honestly, that is not far from, like, kind of boy band style pop of right now.
For sure. So now that we've tackled all of the Sing Street songs that we're going to talk about in this episode, Dustin, you know the question that's coming your way. If they were a real band producing music, would you listen to them?
I'm going to answer this one confidently for once. Yes, I would, because of how many times we see them sort of evolve and shift styles based on hearing some new song in the movie. I'm like, this kid's got a lot of creative juice left. I think it's a band that wouldn't stay the same album to album. So I would totally be excited to see what they come up with each time.
Yeah, Connor is super open creatively, and it helps their music a lot because nothing, as you said, is going to sound the same. And that's very intriguing, and I would be interested in it as well.
Well, that's it for this week, kids. Next week, we've got what I'm betting might be like a crowd favorite. We're finally covering That Thing You Do.
Ooh, we got a Tom Hanks classic coming up for you, kids.
With a very catchy tune.
One of the catchiest tunes we'll ever talk about on this show.
Still well made. Tune in next week to find out why and how and all that stuff.
And if you had a good time, like we had a good time today on this episode of K-Flix, please give us a rating or review on whatever podcast service you're currently listening to this on. And if it happens to be YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe.
Yeah, do those things. And find us everywhere at fictionradiopod.com and fictionradiopod@gmail.com.
See you next week for That Thing You Do.
Watching movies, jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.